Hi guys and welcome. This is going to be my last permanent video of the regular season for Grimsby, and this is going to be my all-round season review. I'll take you through some of the signings that we made last summer and work our way through the season and give my opinion overall through the season, and then that will be my final consistent Grimsby video for a little bit of time. I'm going to take a few weeks off, a month or so off, and I'll reiterate this at the end of the video as well. Any news that does break over the summer for Grimsby that's significant, obviously I'll bring that to you in transfers and so on and so forth. So buckle up, this could be quite a long one, and we'll take you through basically right from last summer onwards. Obviously, if we look at players that were released the summer before, we lost 8 players that summer, and there were players such as George Lloyd, Ryan Taylor was released, Jazz Goundry, Sean Scannell was also released, Jordan Cropper also got released as well, alongside Josh Emmanuel, who left. So, that's just a quick run through. Obviously, we also lost Max Crocombe. So it was eight players roughly that we lost in the close season last season, and then we made a number of signings over the summer, and Paul Hurst did sign such players such as Camille Conte from Middlesbrough's under-21s for an undisclosed fee. Jake Eastwood came in as number 1 initially, also alongside Harvey Cartwright. They signed on the same day. We also got Harvey Rogers in from Accrington Stanley on a free transfer. We also got Arthur Ganoa from Morecambe on a free transfer. Don Wilson was signed from Sutton United to try and strengthen our attacking options. And Toby Malarkey was bought in from Rochdale. We were able to reach a agreement in fee for Toby's services alongside Charles Burnham. He rejoined us from Lincoln City on a 3-year deal that was, and Abo Issa as well was a signing from Bradford, and of course the big signing of the summer, in fact the first signing of the summer, was Danny Rose, and I still to this day can't believe we landed him. Stunned me really. And also Akil Pike came in the summer, a free transfer from Shrewsbury Town. So really, with the base of what we already had in the building, with people like Danny Amos and Otis Khan and Alex Hunt all still in the team, you're thinking, that's a good base to work off, and something to really work with. And everyone was fairly confident that, I was sort of like, at least we're definitely not going to do any worse, and hopefully try and push on a bit more. And as we know, as we go through this review, it didn't quite work out that way. But if we go into the games, obviously we had a decent pre-season. Back to that, we travelled to Spain for a training camp. Everyone still remembers Steve Crowson's sort of aerobic thing at the pool that going to put out in the video. That was just typical Steve. Love it. Still, that's a memory that I can remember seeing going around on social media of Steve working with the players in the pool. Yeah, he was outside the pool, sort of giving them the instructions, and the players doing it. That was a bit of fun, to be fair. I thought that was great. And obviously we'd had a fairly decent pre-season, mixed results, but you kind of expect that during pre-season. You're not, you know, pre-season is just to get the boys ready and to get the rustiness out of them. And overall, I think that happened. Obviously, after the Danny Rose signature, I think we felt really, really confident going into this season. And it started on August the 5th. The season began August the 5th. And I'll just basically tell you, it was a 0-0 draw with Wimbledon, the opening game of the season. And I will actually tell you the lineup for the very first game this season. It was Jake Eastwood in goal, Toby Malarkey, Harvey Rogers, Niall Maher, and Anthony Glennon. Harry Clifton, Alex Hunt, Camille Conte, Charles Vernon, with Danny Rose and Abo Issa, the Rocket Man as I call him, up top. And he really did earn that name in general, I think, with some of the goals that Abo did come out with during the season. And, you know, a creditable draw at home to who ended up being a playoff pushing Wimbledon. Wimbledon did miss a penalty in that first game. El Mohammadi, Jake Eastwood made a great save, and you could really feel the joy and the enthusiasm from the fans at Blundell Park for that game. It wasn't the start we wanted, but to say we kept a clean sheet at the start of it, minimum you can expect. So it was a positive start for Grimsby, and during the rest of the month, it wasn't too bad. I mean, if we look at the League Cup tie, which came next against Mansfield, we were dominated. Mansfield had all of the play there. We barely got into the game. And Mansfield throughout the season, I always felt as though it was probably the best team we played all year. And they're the only team I would say that played us off the park generally throughout the season, and Mansfield sure did that, and we played them twice more after this. And then we went back to Nottinghamshire to go to my dad's team, Notts County, where we lost 3-2, but we played quite well in that game. Danny Rose got his first goal for Grimsby in that game, but we fell to a narrow 3-2 defeat. And all I can say about the Notts County games, they were never dull. Obviously, losing out in the end. Harry Clifton got his first goal of the season as well in that, but it wasn't enough as we fell down 3-2 in Nottingham to Notts County. And then we picked up our first win of the campaign 3 days later when we won 2-0 against an extremely poor Salford City side. We were quite dominant in this game, to be fair. We were playing some decent football as well. You know, we were getting the confidence, and Abo Issa had probably maybe his best game for the Mariners with that 2-0 win with both goals on 21 and 65. And, it was a decent start. Like I said, it was, 4 points from 9. not the best start, but by far from the worst. And then we moved on to the home game in the league against Mansfield, and that ended up being a 1-1 draw, and the second of the season. I believe Abbo scored again. I think it was against Mansfield, and he did. In fact, he did quite early on. In fact, before Formana Isos equalised for Mansfield, and so you're looking at the start of the actual the first month of the season. We then got a draw at Walsall again, thanks to an Aboisa rocket. We took the lead. This was one thing that I didn't take notice of in the first month or so, but the amount of times we took the lead in games and weren't seeing games out. But we got a 1-1 draw at Walsall as well. So we were starting to become a draw specialist. I say that because we finished August in the EFL Trophy with a 2-2 draw against Man City's under 21s. So we were scoring. Scoring didn't seem to be our issue first month. But if you actually overall look at the first month that we actually played, we only lost one league game in that month. But and it was not the worst start that we could have had, really. It was quite a strong start in August. Probably could have picked up a couple more points. But with Aboisa's Rockets, as I call it, especially against Mansfield and Walsall and Salford, it was sort of like, hello, we're on to a winner here. We're unlucky against Man City's under 21s. We lost on penalties there. But then this is where things started to go, I felt, slightly pear-shaped. We got a 2-0 win at the start of September at Blundell Park. Quite a simple one again against, at the time, a very, very poor Gillingham side. And, we were looking good. We really were. It was Nalmar and Gav Holohan that scored in the 2-0 win against Gillingham. But if you overall look at our results in September, if we take the trophy result out of it, we drew at Bradford. That's where things, I believe, started to turn for the worse. In fact, it was. We got a 1-1 draw. It was the Sky game on that day. And I actually re-watched that the other day because, it was quite amazing. We took the lead in that game thanks to a Danny Rose header, and Bradford, really, we were better than Bradford on that day, really, but they were able to nick an equaliser late on, and then from there, I don't know what happened. This is when things started to go, like I said, it started to really feel like it went pear-shaped from the 9th of September. Because then we went and lost the next 3 games against Wrexham, against Crawley, and against Swindon. And it was just sort of like, 3-0, 3-2, and 2-1. And it was sort of like, especially against Swindon and Crawley, only losing by the odd goal. But, 3 straight defeats to end September. And, at that point, when we played Bradford on the 9th of September, we were 12th, and actually if we'd won that game, we would have gone as high as 2nd had we actually won that game. So to think from then, and then obviously didn't win another game in September, after the Swindon game, which again we scored in, and it was Donovan Wilson that got the goal that day against Swindon. By the time we played Swindon at the end of September, so we were 8th going into the Bradford game, we ended up somehow 19th from from the beginning of September to the end of September. We'd roughly slipped about 9 places, which was shocking to me. And that's when you could feel something was changing. Couldn't quite put a finger on what, but something was changing. Something was very wrong because, again, it wasn't our scoring that was our issue. It was more defending, and it was starting to get more obvious. Conceding 3 at Wrexham, but then conceding 3 at home to Crawley, and then conceding 2 at Swindon. And then we moved into October. This is when the real big changes started to happen. We did start the month with our only win of that month, with a 2-1 win against Barrow. Barrow did not turn up on that night. I remember being there, and I thought, because they were at the top end at the start of that, and I thought, we've still got it in us. We missed a penalty against Barrow. Danny Rose and Donovan Wilson scored the 2 goals for us on that day, and after doing that, you're thinking, okay, that shows what kind of team Grimsby are. Maybe we can start to, push on from there. Oh, how wrong we were. Performances. We weren't great that day against Barrow, but we were able to squeak out the win. And then we then got a 2-2 draw at Tranmere Rovers on the 7th of October. And then we didn't win a game. In fact, we lost. We lost 5 straight games after that, which all in all, as hard as Paul Hurst was trying, something was very wrong. Either where the players weren't playing for him, or which I don't believe was the case. I do believe they played for Paul, but something was wrong. The messages weren't going in, because for the rest of the month we didn't pick up a single point. We lost to Bradford in the trophy, which knocked us out the trophy. Then we lost to Accrington. Then we lost away at Stockport, only narrowly 3-2. Lost to Colchester as well. And then we finished October with a 1-0 loss at Donny Rovers, which ended up being the last straw for Paul Hurst. And it was just... I kind of felt coming out of Doncaster that day. I remember turning to my friend who I'd gone with, and I said, he's done. I just felt it. I mean, on that day, again, it wasn't lack of effort by the boys, but it was lack of ideas. And they literally had no ideas at the end of the day, and Paul only brought 1 sub on that day. And I remember walking out and got to my car with my friend, and I literally said, he's done. And you could just sense it in the last couple of games, mainly I think after the Accrington defeat at home. You could start to feel it building. Something's not right. And then it was like, as hard as we were trying, and we were, it just wasn't working. And but again, it was the amount of times we were in front and then lost. It was sort of like this can't really go on. And at the end of the day, it signalled the end of Paul Hurst's second time round at the club. And we needed something fresh. We needed fresh ideas. We needed fresh impetus, and that was the end of Paul. So we then started to become on the search for a new manager come the start of November. Grimsby did initially put Ben Davis and Sean Pearson in temporary charge. Their first game in charge was the FA Cup first round tie at Slough. And Slough at the time were struggling at the bottom of the National League South. And to be fair, we looked again so low on confidence and so low on belief that, they scored first a great free kick from Slough's player manager. And, we bombarded them for most of the season, most of the game, sorry. And the longer it was going, I thought, we're not going to score here. And luckily, Afete got a good ball in. Danny Rose doing what Danny Rose does, what a man that he is. Scored on 75 minutes to earn a replay. We'll get on to that. In the roundup as well. But, we were able to get a replay at Blundell Park, and luckily that turned the tie. We then played Morecambe in the league, and we were able to get the first league game since Paul left. We were able to get a 3-2 win against Morecambe, and then back that up with a 7-2 win over Slough at home. In the Morecambe game, again, we conceded very early against Morecambe, and then Danny Rose scoring 2-2, Akil Pike and Kieran Green got the goals for. It's funny, Green and Rose assisted each other with the goals, and you're thinking, okay, this is good. We're going to be able to steady the ship, and we did play some good football under Sean and Ben. We tried to be expansive. They tried to make it totally different to how we were playing under Paul, but still tried to keep a little bit of. But again, we weren't keeping clean sheets, which was always a concern. You can't always have to score 3 goals to win a football match, and that kept on for the rest of the season. Weirdly enough. We weren't then able to keep teams out. Like I said, we got 7-2 against Slough, but that didn't tell the whole story, because Slough were in that game until we made it 4-2. They were really in that game, and it was a little bit concerning that we but credit to Slough, they were credit to themselves that day, and to be honest with you, it looked like they finished their season very strong, to be fair, considering where they started when we played them. It then moved on to the next 2 games. 2-2 at Forest Green and 1-1 at Sutton. Led in both. And again, our defence was our undoing. We should have got more at Forest Green. Should have beat Sutton at home and didn't. And it was like, we really need that new manager in. And we did. We finally, on the 27th of November, former Crew boss, David Artell, was appointed manager 24 hours before the trip to promotion chasing MK Dons, and it was refreshing to see the style of football that David brought in. Took the lead again, thanks to Akil Pike, and Danny Rose got the assist for that. And really, we were the better team for a lot of that game, and then obviously MK Dons played a good move. They were a good squad, MK Dons, and they stopped Artell from getting the perfect start. So again, if you look at November, overall the results weren't too bad. Really, if you want to be ultra positive, we weren't beaten in November. So in one sense, it was a far better month. But the trouble is, we only won. Well, really, we only won one game. We only won one league game, and only won 2 games in general. But it was probably our best month consistently, results wise. Even though some games we probably should have got more than we did. We then moved into December. Everyone was talking about how well we'd been doing, going from November. But when we hit December, obviously we got knocked out the cup in the second round to Oxford 2-0. That didn't really tell the whole story of that game. It was kind of like, it was 2-0, but we did play some good stuff. We did have some good chances and just didn't take them. And that started to be not a concern at the time, but it was refreshing to see an attacking style of football. And we carried that on throughout December, really. The early part of December. We did beat Crewe, which ironically was David Artell's first game in charge of Crewe was Grimsby in a win there, and the first win for David Artell at Grimsby came against his former side Crewe. It was and everyone was bouncing and very enthusiastic. We then went away again and got another point, and then played host to Harrogate just before Christmas and lost 2-1 there. Boxing Day, I was at the Boxing Day game at Mansfield, and enough said about that. Another game where we had a few chances and should have done better, but Mansfield were again just too good for us. But we did finish the calendar year with probably I would say close to probably the easiest double I think Grimsby has ever had in my lifetime. When we got the 3-0 win at Salford, their manager got sacked the day after that. So it kind of like the Grimsby curse on managers came and hit Salford. And we thought, okay, we can kick on from here, get some fresh blood in January, and who knows what would happen. But I didn't envisage this. What we can tell you is, moving into the new year, we did sign a few players, mainly on loan, and a couple of permanents on loan. We got Liam Smith. He came on loan from Cheltenham in the month. We also got Doug Tarm. He came in permanently from Blackpool on a free transfer. Very good centre back, to be fair. Turned out to be maybe our best January signing that Artell made. Denver Hume then also made his way to us from Portsmouth on a free transfer to the end of the season, and we also signed I would say probably our most consistent player in the second half of this season, Curtis Thompson, who we lost Raquel Pike in January. Not Raquel Pike. We lost Camille Conte, apologies, in January, and Curtis Thompson ended up being his replacement from Cheltenham. He got released from Cheltenham and joined us, and I know a little bit about Curtis because I knew him from his time at Notts County, and with my family link to Notts County, I'd heard of Curtis Thompson before we signed him, and I knew how well he was thought of at Notts County, and I thought if we can get that version of Curtis Thompson, we've got a cracking player in the middle there. You know, I mean, by that point, Aboisa wasn't playing as much. Gav Holohan was in and out of the side come the turn of the year, and it was kind of like Curtis was kind of like that pivot. He was the kind of solid, play it simple type player, and in the end scored a few goals for us, but he didn't overcomplicate anything. He came into a nervy side though, because we weren't really in great form throughout January, and as we go into January, we only played 3 games in January. But I remember going on an absolute tirade because we started on New Year's Day, and I've tried to block this out. I really have. And I think what was so annoying is we scored first on New Year's Day, and we played Walsall. Yeah, can you see the look on my face? And I was fuming out of this game. We dominated them. For the first 40 minutes, we dominated them. We could have been... Sometimes I questioned Artell when he said certain things. One thing I did agree with him on this time when he said, you know, we probably could have been 3-4 up. In this game, I agree with him. Walsall were poor, but they had something that we didn't. That was midfield. Every single time Town mainly lost games, we were losing it in the middle. There was no energy in the middle. There was no calming head. Curtis did bring that in January, later on in January, but we definitely didn't have it when we played Walsall. We went 1-0 up after half an hour. We ended up losing the game 6-1 in about 47 minutes. I remember coming on to do my review for that, and I was just embarrassed. I was just truly embarrassed by what I was watching. Because it was sort of like, you know, you leave yourself so open. You haven't got the bodies in the middle to break play. And it was like Walsall were just being gifted goals. It didn't even feel like they were earning them. They were just being gifted them. And obviously at this point, Harvey Cartwright had overtaken Jake Eastwood as the number 1 choice. He came in Hurst's last league game, and he was number 1 for majority of the season after that. I remember that was the first time I was calling for Harvey to come out, because, you know, after a battering like that, you know, you're bound to take a confidence thing. And I remember saying in the review video, you should never be being battered by that many goals. Did it get better? As you'll find out in a second, no, it didn't. We did have one of the most entertaining games, and I am going to talk a little bit about this game. It ended up being probably the best game in general that I think I went to. And we've been having some crackers with Notts County over the last few seasons, to be fair. And this was another one. It was back and forth, back and forth. I don't think teams knew what defence was, because, you know, that was, to be fair, it was 11 goals in 2 games conceded. And we scored 5. Harry Wood had just come in on loan as well, the couple of days previous. And this is how the goal scoring went in that game. It was Danny Rose kicked off the scoring, and then Aboisa got he got a double that day, but he got the first goal on 15 minutes. Then they pulled a goal back next to David McGoldrick, got his first of two for him. Then Macaulay Langstaff again coasted through, and it was 2-2 at the break, and then so like all hell broke loose. We went 3-2 up due to Harry Clifton, a good goal for Harry, and then Aaron Nemain, he went and again teams didn't know what defending was. We then scored again on 62 when Aboisa scored his second, and then Aaron Nemain scored again on 79 to go 4-4. And then I thought, oh no, because David McGoldrick had then in the 92nd minute looked like he got a winner, and it was like, oh no. And then Harry Wood just came on, and after 100 minutes the game finished 5-5. It was one of the most entertaining but energy sapping, just being sat there as a fan, energy sapping sort of positions and games to be at, and actually so relieved to get something. Man of the match that day definitely went to Jody Jones of Notts County. He pulled us to shreds all afternoon, really. Getting 4 assists out of the 5 goals. Insane. And then, we'll have a bounce from that. We didn't play again then until the end of January, when it was a 2-1 win. So basically, 1 point from 9 throughout January wasn't the best. And when you go into February, David Artell had been talking about how good our away form was, but it hadn't been that great. We got a 0-0 draw at Accrington. I wasn't able to sort of be at that game. I was supposed to be, but I had a performance to be a part of, so I was. And then when I saw 0-0, I thought, in a way, it was good because we had to stop leaking the goals that we had been leaking. And then we hosted Stockport on the 10th of February. And to be fair, poor goals again that we conceded. And then just a couple of weeks after 6 weeks after the Walsall embarrassment, we got another one against a team that were really, really struggling at the time. Doncaster, and we lost 5-1 there. I'll admit, I was thinking, this is it for Artell, and I genuinely was thinking that. And because my concern was, we're dropping like a stone. We can't defend, and we were dropping like a stone. We were sort of, we were close to the bottom or 21st when Paul left. We were 22nd after the game, and even though Danny Rose scored and equalised, so when we went 2-1, it was just, it was awful. It was absolutely awful, and something had to change because I think David was under pressure then, and looked like they had. I've seen interviews since where they said that they had strip it back, and I think David then started to realise that the way he wanted to play was not going to work. They could do it now and again, the way he wanted to play. He wants to play high intensity passing football. He couldn't really do that with this team, and we could see a slight difference when we went to Morecambe, but again, we'd gone from the end of December without an away win. We actually went into March still without an away win. We got a point which was anything between the last two games. We'd conceded 8 and scored and scored 2. Yes, we got a point at Morecambe, but again, that's basically 2 points from 4 games in January, and then obviously in February. Sorry, and you're just thinking now this isn't good, and we started the month with a dire game, really, between Grimsby and Forest Green. Basement teams battling, and we got a 1-0 win at Forest against Forest Green. God knows how, because the game was awful. It was an early goal. It was a good goal by Harvey, though. Harvey Rogers got the goal in 8 minutes. Gav got the assist, and it was all, all good and happy, but the performance wasn't great. We then went away 2 more times after that, drawing 0-0 at Wimbledon and 1-1 at Sutton. We just could not get a win, and all David Artell was saying, we've only lost 1 since I've been here, away from home. And I was starting to think, yeah, what you're also not saying is we've only won 1 away from home all season up to that point. And to not get the win at Sutton when we should have done, really. And then we did typical Grimsby for the rest of the month, at least for this season. We were able to get a win at home to the MK Dons on Tuesday night. Better team MK Dons with the ball. We were able to sneak the 1-0 win. By this point, all the January signings were being involved. Justin Abiku came in on loan as well. And that was his first real goal against MK Dons. We did miss a penalty, though. Gav Holohan went straight down the middle when I thought it was just going to go to either side, and the goalie just stood there and was able to palm it away. But Justin Abiku did get the win. He came in from Coventry in the January window to try and help with the attacking, and it was a clean sheet. We finally got one. We actually got 2 that month, and then, like I said, went to Gillingham, got a fighting draw there. No surprise that we lost to Wrexham, but again, when we were conceding goals, they were so easy. You may as well have not even have shown up. And this is where, even though there were 2 teams, one chasing automatic promotion, one chasing the playoffs, even though it was Wrexham and Barrow, it was how easy we'd made it for them to score again. No real midfield, no real depth in the midfield. Yes, Curtis Thompson had come in and made it more of a calmer head, but the amount of midfield battles we were losing throughout the season was prominent by this point. I mean, by the time the end of March came, and this was only 6 weeks ago, Abiku scored again late on, but we were, by this point, we played 39 games by this point. We're only 3 points above the drop zone by the end of March. It was kind of like, oh, we're in trouble. Everyone was trying to say, well, it is Wrexham and it is Barrow. Yeah, but when you're not getting the results, it's sort of like, yeah. And we went into the last few games needing results. We got a draw on April the 1st, home to Bradford. I believe we took the lead again in that one, which we did. Curtis Thompson, And again, they've near enough did with us what they did against Bradford as well. Smallwood got the penalty on 93 minutes, and obviously by this point Cartwright had got injured, so Eastwood came on 20 minutes into the game. And to be fair, I was a bit surprised when Eastwood was dropped, because I was saying I don't see how Cartwright was doing that much better, and I still stood by that. And to be fair, results slowly improved, but to lose Denver Hume as well, the penalty was obvious. You couldn't really argue it, but it was like, we needed a result there. We didn't get it. We got one finally on April the 6th when we were able to go and beat Newport at home. Boy, that was big. Because that all but sealed our safety. But up until that point, we were one win away near enough from guaranteeing on the 6th of April. And it was sort of like, poor game, but Danny Rose with his final goal of the season for us. But Danny was so key. It was sort of like, without Danny Rose, because I looked at it all and I thought, without Danny Rose, we'd be down, really, because especially in the second half, it was just, second half of the season, it was just, but from then on, we were win-loss sort of thing. We went loss at Harrogate, and we were poor at Harrogate. I know David Artell said we were the better side. We weren't. We were dreadful that day. Me and my mate were at Harrogate. We were actually in the Harrogate end, in the home end, but it was sort of like we didn't have that many chances. We probably had more of the ball, but it was a speculative shot, a good shot for Harrogate that got them the points. We then went to Crewe knowing that, again, it's typical Grimsby really. We play a team near the top and near the playoffs, and probably our best performance under Artell that. And then after that, win that 3-0 win over Crewe. We then lost to a team directly around us. Colchester, 2-0 defeat there. Lo and behold, that is exactly what happens. But by that, we needed 1 point to guarantee safety. We got it in the penultimate game of the season with a 2-0 win at home to Swindon. Danny Rose, unfortunately, had been injured at Harrogate, so he was out for the remainder of the games, which was disappointing. But Loney, Smith and Donovan Wilson, they got the goals to see us safe against Swindon Town. And it was kind of like breathe, relax, we finally do the job. And then I didn't want it to be the Orsley story, because obviously Danilo left us in the summer to join Crawley, and we had Crawley on the last day. And I was saying to my friend, we can't allow it to be Danilo Orsley. And luckily we did the job ourselves, but we let ourselves down a lot this year. And as John Tonda said in his last match, we didn't win more than one game straight in the game, so in the season, which is, that's just bad. And yes, Dan did score a goal against Grimsby, the opener actually against us just last week. So my thoughts on this is, what an appalling season. It was atrocious. From September onwards, from the draw with Bradford, when we probably should have won that, I don't know what was wrong in the lads' heads. It was appalling. It was atrocious. It was like, you know, teams would have been feeling like you are going to be, you guaranteed to get a result there, you know, because they play so expansive, and we were just crap. Between mid-September and all of the rest of the season, we had flashes, and that's being kind, of results, but I don't know how we can look at this season and take anything out of it apart from never again. I will give the owners a bit of credit. They did come out in the pre-match notes in the programme, and they did apologise for the season. I think they thought it was going to be more of a playoff push, and it ended up being a relegation fight. My issue is never the fact that we didn't get 11th again, or we didn't push for the playoffs. My disappointment was we were so far off. We finished 11th the season before. We finished 4th bottom this time round. And the only players, really realistically, that could hold their heads high was really Doug Darm. I mean, they got injured towards the back end as well. Danny Rose and consistently Curtis Thompson. But the rest of them just, no. I was so pleased with the fans. A lot of them did not celebrate survival against Swindon. Because the players didn't deserve that. The players put us in this mess. Everybody is to blame. Paul and Chris, the owners, the players. The players have to be in the on-field issues. And us fans, did we do enough as fans? Maybe not. You know, when they were going through lulls and dips, were we loud enough at home especially? Probably not. That's probably why we played better away, because it was more, you know, I don't know. But I think everybody has to take a level of responsibility, and I think they all do. You know, Paul and Chris have a level of responsibility. David has to have been here over half the season for that, and he only oversaw us 4th bottom, so we didn't really, results wise, would say we were no better off in that regard, but in the end just did enough. But no, it was a disgusting season. It was a horrible season. It was a season that I'm glad to see the back of. And I actually said this in one of my last reviews. We're so lucky that Sutton and Forest Green were so poor. Because if Forest Green had won that game at the start of April, start of March, we could have found ourselves even in the National League. Because it was a distinct possibility. And I just gotta say that was the nothing good I could say about it. It was just crap. And obviously we spoke about the retained and release list in the previous video. If you want to see that, go and look at that. That is on my channel. But my overall opinion is very, very lucky. We're very, very lucky to still be in league football. Because to be that far off, I could have took 13th, 14th, even 15th that push. I would have accepted a little bit of a drop off, but not as drastic as this, you know. And I think if any of the players had been kept on, I don't think people would have minded who'd have been let go. Because to be honest with you, they all could have got let go for me, because it was a weak mentality side, and it had flashes of could do it, but there was no consistency, and the proof in that is not winning more than one game in a row throughout the entire season. What in the world do you expect for people to do? I mean, in the end, you know, our actual overall record for this season is 1-11, drew 16 and lost 19. We conceded 74 goals all season. Come on, 74. Yes, our goal difference was... Our goals scored were about 8 goals better than we did last season, but defensively we were awful. 2 wins in our last 5 games. You know, that's not worth celebrating. And what I did agree with David Artell is that you can't celebrate a situation like that. You know, and no one can. And why should we? Because all we'd be doing is celebrating failure. Because this season's been a failure. And we're just very lucky that other teams below us rarely were worse. We actually won the same amount of games as Forest Green did. And they finished bottom of the pile. So, you know, it's one of those that I think... I said I was going to be damning, and I am. We were shit. There's no other way to put about it. This season was a joke. It was painful to watch. And I think all us guys are looking forward to a break. I think we need one. Obviously, you know, all the staff that work at Grimsby, they work so hard, and they are hard-working people. And like I say, credit to the owners for giving that apology. And they were on DN35 podcast just last night. Do go and look at that, because that was a good talk with David, with Jason, and with Andrew. So do go and check that out. But overall, I think we can all say that it needs to be better. It's got to be better. And I think all the Grimsby Town fans are drained. I know I am. And I say that, and I've just bought my season ticket for the next season. What a glutton for punishment I am. And a lot of us fans are, I'm sure. But, you know, this will now be proof of what David Artell can do. David is trying to keep the players that he wants to keep. I won't go into that due to the fact that I've done the video on that. So go and look at that video. That'll tell you all about the retain list and so on and so forth. But it's a big season for summer for David Artell. I'm not putting any expectation on necessarily what happens next year. I just want better than this. You know, I'm not saying we've got to jump from this to playoffs, but we've got to jump from this to at least where we were the season before, league-wise, because it was just, you know, there's not much in this league between the teams, but, you know, any fans would say this, you deserve better than this. The fans did, because we had to travel an awful long way in a lot of times, and you know, to take over 600 people to a dead rubber on the last day is remarkable, absolutely remarkable. Did the players deserve that? The players are lucky to play for a club with such a great fan base, you know, and that would have took a lot for a lot of fans to travel up there, wherever they travelled from, to go and see a game that, for us, basically, result-wise, meant nothing. But to have nearly 700 people go over there to watch them play a dead rubber, for us anyway, is testament to how strong our fan base is, and hopefully players will see that over the summer, that the fan base here is phenomenal. So I am going to give the fan base credit, because we go home and away anyway we can. Some people can go to more than others, but they're just as big a fans as us. Even games I couldn't get to, I still was keeping my eye out and watching the games when I could, listening to them. You know, it's our club, and the fans deserve better than that. But I'm sure Sutton fans will be saying the same. Colchester fans will be saying the same. But for us, we got nothing than what we deserved. We could have accepted maybe a 13th, at worst 14th place finish. But for the fans to have to accept fourth bottom, inexcusable. So that's the preview. That's the review of the season done. My final, we'll say, full-time video for this season is now in the books. If you have stuck through with me on this video, do leave your comments down below on the season. And if a lot of you people say thank you that it's finally over, I won't blame any of you. And like I said, I'll be doing a couple of other videos sparingly. But any news that breaks for Grimsby Town, I will keep you up to date with it all. What I will say before I finish, before the end of May, do get your season tickets. They are at frozen prices of last season until the end of May, and then it goes up from there. So get your tickets, get your season tickets as early as you possibly can, and you'll get the discount prices or the frozen price. But now the season is done, that's me done for a little while. I will be back with a couple of National League videos and a few over the Euros, but this is the main video of the Grimsby Town done, at least for the next few weeks. Any news for Grimsby, I will let you know, so keep tabs here. Do like, share, subscribe. Thank you for sticking with me through this extremely long video. Credit to you all for doing that, and I will see you guys after a little bit of a break, I think, on the Grimsby front. So I'll see you guys later. Do like, share, subscribe. Keep the interactions coming up over the summer. I'll be back with some Euros content, and obviously the National League final as well is coming. So I'll preview my prediction for that. But until really the guys come back in June, I will see you back consistently. And we're going to try and make the videos a little bit better throughout next season. Get a few more fans involved as well. So if you want to get involved with me on these videos, do leave me a comment, and we'll try and arrange certain things that we can sort out and get other people involved in this. Because as much as it's my channel, it's your channel as well. So I really want you guys' involvement from next season. Do message me, and we'll sort out whether we sort out a podcast type thing, or get involved in the videos, and and we'll keep making this stronger and stronger. Thank you to the over 200 people that have already supported my channel. So appreciative. So this is me signing off for a little while on the Grimsby side of things. I need a break, and I will see you guys. I will definitely be taking a break just after the Euros as well for any videos at all, apart from Grimsby news. So do like, do share, do subscribe. Thank you so much for sticking with me throughout the season and listening to a Grimsby fan ramble. shall we say. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Take care. Have a good summer break. I think we all need one. And I'll see you over the summer. Ta-ra for now. Bye-bye.